Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with Dutyron and this guy, Ed Wallace, over here. We are retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll get all things Dutyron and this guy, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Ed is in Burkina Faso, Africa. He's doing army training. He's going to be there for quite a while. Ed, thank you for joining us from an international territory. It's always great to have you from another country. How you doing?
Oh, good to be here. Good to be back. Hey, folks, you look behind me. I got new curtains. So maybe Christian will make a new merch out of my new curtains, like she did the old curtains.
Yeah. It's bound to happen because she is always working hard behind the scenes. But tonight, hey, Ed, we're going to get into Stephan Sterns. His mother called him a monster in her early interviews. Police department, Orange County sheriff on the East Coast asked the law enforcement partners in Northport Police Department. That's Brian Laundrie country. We all know Northport Police Department. For those of you who are in the chat and are true crime enthusiasts, that's the police department that lost Brian Laundrie when they had him under surveillance in the Gabby Petito case. But on this particular case, they did a great job at the request of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, because on February 28th, they reached out to their partners across the coast in the west coast of Florida to go and do some searching at Executive Avenue Life Storage Unit and make a visit over to Stephan Sterns' parents, Christopher and Deborah. And the information that they found was, in my view, remarkable, because they did a very thorough job through search warrants issued by the courts, and they got consent at some points from the father, from Christopher. He said he didn't want that computer tower of filth in his house. As a matter of fact, he told detectives that he took it out of the home and put it in his garage because he didn't want nothing to do with it. And I wanted to get your thoughts before we dive into this. Ed? We may have lost Ed. He seems like he's frozen. So I'll take it from here. I was very disturbed by the parents, the way the way the mom, Deborah, was saying that, hey, I don't want anything to do with my son. I think he's a monster. And, when you have a stark contrast, we look at Stephan Sterns' mom, fast forward to June of 2024. That was in February 28th. She said, he's a monster. I don't want anything to do with him. And then we fast forward to the jailhouse emails, and she's giving him all sorts of advice and filling up his commissary and sending him books. What happened to the monster that she claimed her son was, and how she was freaked out by that sex doll, that torso sex doll that he had in their home, in his bedroom? So, Ed, I was asking you, I wanted to go to your thoughts on the evidence collection and how the Northport Police Department stepped up to the plate here.
Well, after reading all the documents today, they could teach a thing or two to the Mass State Police and Canton Police Department about how to handle a crime scene, how to have a crime scene log set up and document who was coming and going from the crime scene, how to do chain of custody of their evidence, what was collected by who and who was it handed to and who touched it. It was great work.
Yeah, I agree. When I saw it, I was proud. I was beaming with pride because, with all the things that are happening across the United States with various police departments screwing up, and I could go down a long list, I enjoy more than anything to highlight the good work that the men and women, the overwhelming majority of the good work that the men and women in law enforcement, and in this case, for justice to be served for Madeline Soto, they have, as you say, a mountain of evidence. This guy is sunk. And barring something really, really bad, as it pertains to the investigators, this case seems to be overwhelming when it comes to computer and digital forensics, DNA, and possibly, again, we haven't received and we won't receive or hear anything about Madeline Soto and her condition, that her body was found where they found her, and if she was in fact sexually assaulted, which I'm betting my pension that this monster did do something to her, because he's been doing it for 7 years, from what we glean from this information, right, Ed?
Well, absolutely, absolutely. He's a sick, perverted individual. The mom, as you said, the mom walked into his room and found that torso sex doll that he, had in his room and was doing all kinds, what with. And the computers, the phones, they knew he had all kinds of crazy stuff on there. They knew that he had done things that he shouldn't have. Yeah, and then to turn around and later on, after reading all these information from the interviews by law enforcement and then seeing these emails while he's in jail, it's like what are they, Jekyll and Hyde? What is going on here?
Yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have both sides. You can't play both sides of the fence. Ed, you brought up something good, and I have it in my notes here. Whereas the mom on the 28th of February, when she was interviewed and detectives came to her home, she made statements to the detectives that she knew, and that Jennifer Soto, Madeline's mom, knew, but she also was conveying this to the detectives, that Madeline Soto was being sexually assaulted for all those years, and it was common knowledge. Now, people are wondering, and I saw in some of these groups, Ed, and this is a good conversation, because is this information that she's relaying, that after he was caught, Stephan Sterns, when he fled back home to where he said he can't stand his parents, can't stand the dogs, when he fled from Kissimmee, Florida, over to Northport, did he tell them that? We don't know. It doesn't actually state that in the documents, but what it states is that Deborah Stearns said that Jennifer knew that this was going on for years. So was she admitting that that she sanctioned her son having sexual relationship with a 7 or a 9-year-old all the way up until she's 13? I think it's 7 to 13. I mean, it's sickening. Like you said, Jekyll and Hyde. It doesn't get any more than that. I bleeped out the F word. So
now, if the parents knew this, if the parents knew that their son was doing this to a minor, okay, and didn't report it, okay, they yeah, exactly. I mean, they committed a crime too.
Yeah. It's as some of the people saying in the chat, it's those parents knew from the beginning, I bet. And some people here, this is a great comment right here by Deborah, outrageous and reprehensible. Times 10. These people are Jekyll and Hyde on steroids. A lot of things are coming out, and she also made statements. And I have all the documents. And thank you to Plunder, Paula from Plunder True Crime. She's been a friend to Crime Time with Dutyron and Ed Wallace from the beginning. And Plunder is going to join me one day. I'm hoping Ed will be available. We got to do this. It's almost midnight for Ed right now. It is midnight for Ed. So we got to try to get this. We do this maybe at 5 o'clock Eastern, and then it's a reasonable time for Ed. But Paula agreed to come and join us, because I'd like to get her on, because she has made so many requests, and she made the request to the Northport Police Department, and she shared the documents with me without hesitation. So thank you, and kudos to Plunder True Crime Media. I suggest everyone go over and check out her channel and subscribe. But Ed, that's the crazy part, is that, like you said, if they had knowledge of this, why aren't they locked up? Why aren't these people locked up? So it makes me believe that maybe after they made that statement, maybe they said, and they didn't put it on paper, that this was coming from what their son told them. Because remember, in the email, she said, your girlfriend Jennifer knew this was going on for a long time. Don't you take all the blame for it? Remember we went over that, Ed? So
Yeah.
fast forward to June, Stephan Sterns' mom is protecting her son, and it's just, to me, it's outrageous. It's something that really just makes your stomach turn. But I want to highlight the intense work that the Orange County Sheriff, he was the one we saw at the podium on March 1st. He gave that press conference on that fateful Friday, Ed, when Madeline's remains were discovered. But he gave the press conference when they knew that she was dead, but they didn't know where she was. And after he made that press conference, some of the public came forward and they called in the tips of where they thought they saw Stephan Sterns changing that flat. And that, in fact, led them to that location. But before all that happened on March 1st of 2024, February 28th, this sheriff sent his detectives across the state of Florida into Northport to do that unbelievable job that they did of searching the storage facility at 1001 Executive Avenue, that life storage unit. And they found the CSAM storage inside the storage locker, the computer tower at the father's home, a keychain of young female, purportedly probably Maddie, uploaded audio interviews to evidence.com, 2 Florida state driver's license of Stephan Sterns, a bunch of scan disks, and a Western Digital hard drive that was a terabyte of information. What do you think is on that, Ed? But what do you got up on the screen?
So Anna Marie was asking what evidence is there of the parents knowing about it. It's the statements that are in the police reports of what the mother and the father had been saying that requires further investigation, because it could suggest that the parents had some knowledge of the proclivities of their son.
There you go. Thank you for that comment. Always appreciate the user input is important here. I want to say welcome to Deborah to becoming a YouTube member. Welcome. Thank you, Deborah. Huma Fox, thank you for becoming a member. Vicky Thomas, always generous in gifting memberships. Thank you for gifting out 5 memberships. And Kat H, who is always a friend of the channel, she says, love Dutyron and Ed. Well, we love you right back. Thank you for that.
Amen.
So let's take a minute and just watch this, because I know you got limited time, Ed, and your internet is a little wonky, but I just want to play this because I want to show you guys that 1 or 2 days before this, right, the sheriffs and investigators from not only the Northport Police Department, because we saw crime scene from Northport, took the door at the life storage unit, they took the lock, they took swabs. I'm referring to swabbing for DNA. The lock,
fingerprints.
They grabbed the rope, and a lot of people were questioning, you can get DNA off a rope, Ed?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, skin cells and yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all of it, I think, proved negative results, and they were really, at that point, they were looking for Madeline's remains, for her body. They thought,
right, they thought she might be inside the storage facility.
Right. They brought cadaver dogs from a independent Florida search and rescue group. There was actually 3 or 4 of them there, and they searched all around the locker. They searched around Stephan Sterns' parents' home, and we're not going to give up the location. We won't dox them, although it is public record and it's out there. But they went
through all the unlocked lockers. They went through all the unlocked
Everyone.
storage areas. Yeah.
Right.
And, then they found out later, after getting hold of the management, that, his keypad combination wasn't used in that time frame to get in and out of the location.
Right. But, the mom made a lot of statements that, 3 o'clock in the morning, that she heard the dogs barking and they were supposed to be back in Kissimmee. They had a hotel room, and then that Stephan Sterns is now making these trips back and forth. And then you could bet your bottom dollar he was trying to get rid of as much evidence as he could in a panic. But I want to play this because this is the Orange County Sheriff. This is the agency that was responsible initially, because remember, they didn't know if this all took place at the school or where it took place. So they initially were involved, but once they realized, and once they got that video from the apartment complex at Venetian of Stephan Sterns driving in the car with Madeline. Then they handed it over to the Kissimmee Police Department, and that was when Chief Betty Holland and her crew took over. But let's highlight the good work. This was on March 1st. They did all these interviews. They did all the crime scene processing over in Northport. They had they dotted their I's and they crossed their T's. So let's take a listen to this. It's just a few minutes. I won't play it all. But this is March 1st at about 1 p.m. Eastern time. They did not have Maddie's remains. They knew she was dead, but this is the agency that got the ball rolling.
Ron, no sound, Ron.
No sound?
No sound.
Huh. Interesting. I wonder why that is. All right. I'll put us back on and I'll try to do some work on that. That's odd that the sound is not. Okay, no audio. I'm going to do my best to take that over. Ed, so basically I was showing that video and he was talking about that they knew that Madeline was deceased because he, in that video, said that we saw her in the car. Remember, we talked about it, slumped over.
Slumped over, yeah.
Towards the left. So again, people in the chat, everyone has questions. This 22-page PDF had a lot of information on it. I'm not going to go over it every single line by line, but this is just giving you guys an example of all of the hard work that they were doing before they actually found her remains. So Ed, I want to put you on the screen just to talk about the importance of evidence collection and how this will go in going forward in a trial, how important it is, as we saw in the police officer John O'Keefe murder with Karen Reed.
So a lot of the information here we're getting from his cell phone, we're getting from video cameras, we're getting from the infotainment system of his vehicle with regards to his movements and times and places that he was in. And now we also have to find out about the movement of the other vehicle involved in there and who was in that vehicle and who potentially used that vehicle to potentially go back to the scene where her body was deposited. And all of this has to be done, under the law, without violating anybody's constitutional rights of illegal search and seizures. Got to dot your I and cross your T. Like, for instance, in the case of the storage facility by the parents' house, they got a warrant and went in there. They had other warrants to investigate the vehicles, to investigate the house, and so this is going to be crucial. And then the analysis of all the digital forensic evidence, the cell phones, the infotainment system, all of that is crucial. Of the computers, especially the computers, the towers. I mean, and there was like statements in here that the family didn't want those computers. Plus, they had a gaming system at the house. And whose gaming system was it actually? Was it his, or was it the victim's gaming system that he had? And the father put it in the garage and didn't want to see it anymore because I guess the father was concerned about what might be on there.
Ed, I want to ask you too about the swabs, because people had questions about swabbing the handle and the storage unit, the rope, the lock.
Yeah.
What would be the purpose of, I know the answer to this question, but I'm doing it for our audience. What would be the purpose for a crime scene to do that? Is that to check off boxes that he wasn't there? Is that to see if Maddie's DNA perhaps was on there through that Lacarge exchange principle, if he rubbed her up against there? And was that what they were doing there?
Well, I guess it was just to be thorough because he had legitimate access to the father's storage facility, right? So, but they, so.
Uh-oh. We lost Ed. We lost him. All right, so Ed is in Africa. So just so you know, he'll probably pop back in. But again, I was asking him about the importance of the evidence collection and the DNA and how important it is for them to dot their I's and cross their T's. So when it goes to court, they can say definitively, yes, he was there. No, he wasn't
Yeah.
there. Because of yes, he was there because we have this. Ed, you're back.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. The internet here is very spotty. So yeah, I mean, they're just being thorough because, like I said, he had legitimate access to this storage facility. So, in and of itself, finding his DNA on the door handle, on the rope that controlled the gate, or any of that other stuff, really doesn't mean a whole lot. But I mean, if it was blood that they found, or if it was his DNA and her DNA mixed together, that could have been very important.
Right. Absolutely. And I appreciate you explaining that, because a lot of people I saw talking about it in Discord groups and, on Reddit and so forth. All right. Let me see if the sound works. I tried to restart it. Just let me know quickly if the sound's working. I know you and I could probably hear this.
Negative.
No sound?
No sound.
Okay. All right. We'll scrap it. I just wanted to show that example. I always like to give a little context. So again, as I was saying, that this sheriff here, Sheriff Mina, he took the ball and he went with it, and he threw all of his assets at this investigation. But he also told Sheriff Betty Holland that if there was anything that they needed from the Orange County Sheriff's Department, which is a large department, that they would help to supplement. And Ed, how important is that for smaller departments to have crime scene labs, all the tools that we need to successfully do these type of investigations, to have a partnership like that?
No, that's critical. You have to have mutual aid agreement, and especially these smaller jurisdictions that don't have the budget and the manpower for this. Then you reach out to your other agencies nearby that have those capabilities that can support your needs. It's
Right.
You have to start thinking, folks. I tell this all the time to smaller jurisdictions, that they need to pool their resources and start thinking about doing things as regional task forces, because these smaller agencies may not have enough personnel, or may not have enough equipment, or they may not have enough budget monies in their budget to perform these forensic tasks and investigations.
Absolutely, 100%, and it is very, very important to have that partnership. Green-eyed PI, I love that screen name. She sends in a super chat. She said Stefan's mom paid off a kid not to tell about him filming his girlfriend in the bathroom during showers. They knew, in my opinion, and I did see that allegation. It's just that, I mean, as investigators, that's not anything that was reported to the police. That is conversations on YouTube, and but I get it. I mean, if that in fact is true, those people should maybe come forward and talk to investigators, talk to detectives. I don't know, what they could do with that, but
right now it's unsubstantiated, right? But if they could substantiate that goes a long way, that he has a history of these sexual issues.
They could bring it up in court of law. Yeah, they could bring it up. They could
just like all his internet searches. All right, all of his porn hub activities, all of his searches, everything.
Right. Yeah. So Deborah Sterns, his mom, finds this sex doll torso. She claims it was she told the detectives in the wording in the documents, I'm looking at the documents now, that it was a torso. But in fact, it was a sex doll, something that Stephan Sterns was using for gratification. But she thought it was real and ran out of the house and started screaming for Maddie. I don't know why and where she came up with that cockamamie story, but detectives witnessed her outside screaming for Maddie outside her home, and she thought that Madeline was in the woods somewhere. This is on the 28th, friends. This is the 28th, not on the 1st, because on March 1st, because of that press conference that I was just showing, and because of public help and people coming forward that witnessed Stephan Sterns changing that flat at that location, the police departments, Kissimmee and Orange County sheriffs together we're able to collectively, with help from the public, find Madeline's remains and get this case where it is today. So it's a huge kudos to the public. Ed, we have a guest. She's a true crime sleuth. I think if I put her up against anybody that's out there, including our friend Sleuthy Goosey, she can get in the fight and find information on anybody. Ed, this is somebody, if you're doing a PI job, this is somebody you want on your team because she can find anything on anybody. And she's a huge fan of yours, Ed. She's never had the chance to come up with you here, but
we've been together before.
Not Oblivious Benson, Sleuthy Goosey, not her.
Oblivious Benson has been on this show before.
With you?
Not with Ed.
No, I've been up with you.
No, but not with Ed. I'm here for Ed, man. Today's Ed Day. How are you doing, Ed?
Okay, thank you so much.
I am a big fan. I have a professor who I think you might know. He was a Texas Ranger. He took one of your courses. And he referenced one of your textbooks. And I learned a lot about you, Ed. I have so many questions.
And he came to my training up in New York City at the medical examiner's office, correct?
I have no idea. He just said
now you have to ask him.
Oh, I will. Oh, yes, I will.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Does his first name begin with a T?
I actually don't remember. I know him by his last name.
Troy?
That could be him.
Yeah.
I think it is Troy.
Yes,
it's either Troy or Gerald.
Okay. I have a lot of Texas Rangers fans.
All right, let's put the super chat up on the board because Green Eyed PI is throwing her purse at us. So thank you for the super chat. She said Jeffrey Dahmer slept and stole a mannequin. Weird. He had a torso in regards to Stephan Sterns. Yes, very not completely weird because look at the charges. Look at the slew of charges that he is facing here. I have them all up on the board, and it's really horrific what he stands accused of. And you know, I tell you, the internet sleuths have been at it full time, going at it, trying to find out stuff on Stephan Sterns, and you've uncovered quite a bit of his online footprint. But I know you have questions for Ed. You have questions, and you said you had a ton of them, so I told you to come at around 8:30, and here you are. You're ready to go.
I am. Okay.
Fire away.
Well, first, I just want to say I did look up those sex torsos that Stephan had. They are so expensive. Like, I don't know, honestly, what was more expensive, that or his CPU, the tower that he has, the gaming tower. It's worth over $2,000. Yeah, that is. And it's all, I mean, I guess it's all being funded by his parents and poodle people. I don't know. It's really bizarre. Ed, tell me about Anthrax, not the band. I know you were the Anthrax guy. What the hell, Ed?
Anthrax is a bacteria. The name of the bacteria is Bacillus anthracis, right? Anthrax is the disease. It's caused by this bacteria. This bacteria is naturally occurring in the United States, where we raise sheep and other wool-bearing animals. It's found in the soil. It gets up into the sheep. But back in the day, biological weaponeers weaponized the anthrax bacteria for use in conflicts and war and so forth. And until the Biological Weapons Treaty was produced and countries signed on not to use biological weapons. But so we had an anthrax attack in 2001. At the same time, we had the 9/11 attack. There was a Dr. Bruce Ivins from USAMRIID, which is the Army's biological weapons laboratory at Fort Detrick, Maryland. His laboratory was being defunded. And the speculation is that he wanted to create a little controversy with anthrax because he ran the anthrax lab at the USAMRIID. And if he created this controversy, now this is just the FBI's hypothesis of what happened here, that they would refund his laboratory and keep him and his analysts working at the lab again. So they had the Ames strain of the bacteria Bacillus anthracis in his laboratory. He had everything he needed to make weaponized anthrax and also crude anthrax. So it's believed that he made a couple batches of the biological weapon version of anthrax and put it in U.S. mail and sent it to news agencies. One of the first cases being in Florida to like the Inquirer magazine type location where he actually killed somebody with that anthrax. He sent stuff to New York to Tom Brokaw rather, and other news agencies.
I remember that. We were responding like crazy to those jobs.
Yeah.
But Oblivious Benson, how did you just hijack the stream and take it off Stephan Sterns and go to Anthrax? How did that happen? How did I let that happen?
He's the Anthrax guy. I was obsessed with that stuff. And I'm like, what happened with that?
Did my Texas Ranger friend tell you?
Am I supposed to be asking forensic questions about, huh?
Did my Texas Ranger
did the Texas Ranger tell me?
Because he took my...
No, actually, I'm going to complain.
He took my weapons of mass destruction course.
That is the course I think he took. And what was funny is that stemmed because I tried to go buy your book. And this is where I'm going to complain. I can't freaking afford your book. I don't know anyone who can.
Okay, Ed, we have a solution to that.
Yeah.
With your permission, Mr. Wallace, he gave me a few copies, not of the hard copy book, but the soft cover. It still is the same content, right, Ed? It's still the same context.
Well, which book are you referring to, though? Are you referring to the crime scene one or the one about weapons of mass destruction?
Well, both. They're so damn expensive. Well, one is out of print. I can't get it anymore. And every time I try to get it at a thrift book place, they're like 2 G's. And then the other one you've got on Amazon, but I still can't afford that one. And I think that is
Oblivious. We're gonna hook you up. I'll take care of it. Let's rope this back in. I want to go to this. This is where Christopher, the father, Christopher Sterns, says it says it right down at the bottom. Recovered from storage unit by Christopher Sterns at 1200 hours, 4/11 of 24. It's a hard drive and other. I have it made really big because I want everybody to see this. And others dated March 19th, 2024, 1752 hours. But here, this is what they got from here. And right here, it says contains CSAM, 1 data stick pro thumb drive, 64 gigs. That's not a big thumb drive, but it's
that
probably
third one. Look at that. That's Maddie made bracelets,
right? But it says in the contains child sexual assault material. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, okay. Look at that, folks. Oh, my God. It's a chain of custody. It says who had what item, when they had it, the date and time, who it was transferred to. Someone shipped this up to Mass State Police and Canton Police to show them how to do this.
Yeah, they didn't even list their leaf blower on there.
They should shove this in the face of that lieutenant and the disgraced Canton Police Department, because there was none of this. They did none of this over there with Karen Reed, police officer John O'Keefe, and they're doing it here down in Florida. And you know what? Listen, I have to toot the horns of this state of Florida, because they've got, not only do they have this agency and these agencies that worked on this, but they also got Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. The man is a badass in his own mind, and this guy goes out and kicks the ass of perpetrators and bad guys. He drags them in, hog ties them, bring them in. He puts up pictures. This is what Florida law enforcement looks like. They do their job, and this is why I highlighted and made this so big, and I put it up on the screen because I knew, Ed, you mentioned this to me, how proud you were of this chain of custody and how they did it. This is all,
look, everything what was collected, okay, where it was collected, who collected it, it's all here. It's no mystery. The date and time, everything is here.
I don't want to go to the top of the form because it gives the address of the Sterns family, even though they are, in my opinion, scumbags and not good people. I still don't want to dox them here on our channel. But the bottom line is that the bottom line is this information right here is key. And some of it was given to them by the father, and people were in these Discord groups and on Reddit. They were like, why were they allowing the father to hand this stuff to him? Well, they didn't want the police up in their business. So they were like, I just want to get rid of all of this stuff. Let's just get it. But now you fast forward to June of this year, 2024, you got the mother sending him. I mean, I have the list of all the books and all of these things. Oblivious, all the list of all the things that he was requesting, and he was telling him, don't send the book series where the trilogy thing or whatever. He was like giving him really strict instructions on what he wanted, and it's just so fucked up because the bottom line is in February 28th, the mother saying, and I have it here, that he's a monster.
And that's the part that pisses me off, because think about it. The first time the cops are arriving, right? She doesn't know yet at that point on the 28th. She has no idea that everyone in the world is going to be able to see that police report one day. But she and the husband mention in the mail to the jail, hey, by the way, this is one of those things that people can see. So it's very interesting that she's freaking out, calling him a monster, saying that clearly, I think, conveying at least that she knew her kid was messed up, at least enough to go search through his room and find a sex toy. What prompted that? So she's looking for Madeline, talking about her being behind the woods.
She said she wanted to clean up the house.
Bullshit.
Get out of here.
No.
Yeah, but he left the sex toy on his bed. He wasn't hiding it. He probably was using it that night.
It was just out there.
Sick bastard.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was just out there according to the report.
Yeah.
But so then after that, he just now all of a sudden she's like, oh, everyone can see this, right? And now she starts defending him. It's pretty obvious that she was playing one role for the police, in my opinion. And then the second she realizes people can see this, I think this is her pulling PR with her words.
Yeah, but I just want to go back to that hard drive with the child sexual assault materials on it. Anytime you take a flash drive and you put it into a computer, there's going to be an exchange of information on the computer and the hard drive. There's going to be documentation of the computer that it was inserted into. All right, and that information is going to be on there. So using digital forensics and being able to download and look all that at what we call the metadata. Mm-hmm. We can tell if the father or the mother stuck this in their computer and looked at the content of what was on here.
Right.
That's absolutely true.
Right. So if they looked at that content and they saw child porn or it's a crime, right? And if that's a crime too. And if they know that that's their son that's committing the crime on
and not reporting it,
that's a crime.
So and those crimes would be charged in Northport, because that's the place this is the location. It's their home in Northport, Florida. So they couldn't take this and wrap it up and throw it back to Kissimmee. It's going to be a new charge if there was anything charged against them, like Ed just alluded to.
Would they get tampering for that?
Absolutely.
Well, yes. Again, if they altered any of the data that was on there, if they deleted anything that was on there at the time that it was inserted in their computer, again, there's going to be that exchange of information from the computer to the hard drive and the hard drive to the computer, and they'll have that information.
Right.
What do you think about that just happened in Florida? I think maybe even under Grady Judd, right? The OnlyFans model, her and her parents went in on the deceased's computer, change things. They ended up getting the charges all dropped. Do you see that happening with this, being that it's a kid case with such horrific charges?
Well, so far the parents haven't been charged with anything, and nor has Maddie's mother, right? And so hopefully we'll see if in fact they'll bring charges up against them.
Yeah. Let me just highlight a couple of things, and I want to go to the cyber tower because you had told me today or yesterday, oblivious, that it is an expensive
It's like a
piece of
2G.
equipment. I went and looked it up, and I guess on the current market, people are selling them and reselling them pretty cheap.
Yeah,
but
like
I would
1,200.
imagine when this was brand new and out there, it was a couple of G's, right?
Yeah, well, the one that they're selling, people get this one mixed up with the 7980 or I believe it's the 7890. I'm a little dyslexic there, but
it's the 8980, and then it says
yeah.
-7837.
So the one that often it gets confused for is a little bit cheaper. It's like 1,200. You can get the basic tower, like the outer casing, for like 800 because it's supposed to be super heat resistant and see through. Right. It's just a nerd computer. It's literally for people who want to store. I think it stores on average like a terabyte for the smaller ones, but it's just for gaming. But what's interesting about those computers is a lot of people that I've seen in court documents, they like to stick to that and Alienware, and they tend to be the ones. I'm not saying everybody who owns that has CSAM, but it tends to be the same type of computer over and over again.
Yeah, because it has a great graphics card, and it has high definition and large storage capacities and so forth.
Melly, thank you so much for the super chat. She said, I love OB. What a pleasure and an addition to this live stream.
Oh, Melly.
Absolutely, Melly. And thank you for being a moderator and a great friend. Dion Peel says, hey, Ron, didn't Sterns have a record as a teenager dealing with an underage girl? Now, I was never able to pull those official records, and I don't have access to the police computers or,
he
jail
didn't actually get a record for that. He got a record. I found out the probation as a child, the one that he had in the 90s, that was for what he called self-defense, but I believe he stabbed a guy in California, but the guy was walloping him. So he ended up having some head injuries from that, which I think is pretty interesting. I can't remember her name at the moment, Mary something. I would love to ask her about that because it's very Bobby Joe Longy of him. Yeah. I know that he wasn't into the same type of thing, but it's kind of weird how he had this head injury and then he starts throwing semen on his friends or making them drink. He's just doing horrible, disgusting stuff to his friends.
I mean, this guy is a despicable. He's not a human being. He's a monster.
Gross.
And when you hear about all these things, it's not surprising. And Ed and I were talking a long time ago, and we were saying to each other, we wouldn't be surprised if he killed animals when he was younger. Like one of those kids that went out with a BB gun or tortured. Yeah.
He hates the poodles. His mom's already ripping out their dew claws to sell them on the market. Also, God, Poodle People was awful. I hope you guys didn't listen to that. Don't.
No, we didn't listen to it. I tried to. I actually tried to. It was difficult at best.
Yeah, me too.
But I also wanted to ask you, Ed, this uploaded to evidence.com, the audio, is that, I guess, something that that the police departments down there in Florida use to upload data? Because I tried to look for it, and I was thinking like it was almost like our, like our, with the court, it's the crim system, with, our online booking, it's the bad system. Maybe this was like a system that Florida has. I didn't get a chance to research it thoroughly, but it's in this 22 page dump. It says,
but it's right. It sounded like a system that the law enforcement and the prosecutors can use to share information about the case.
Right, so they could view
it.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of information. These 22 pages. Some of it is not, worthy of reading. But if you guys want to read it, I know it's out there on the internet. You can go and get it. It just shows us that these members of the service in these various different departments, they were reached out to by a phone call, and they were asked for help, assistance in aiding in finding Madeline Soto early on. And when you see cases like, that get really mishandled, I could go down, like I said, a full list. It's frustrating because you see stuff like this and you're like, why can't everybody be this tight? I know it frustrates you, Ed, because you are a stickler for not just, I was going to say perfection. You're a stickler for dotting the I's and crossing the T's, because there's only one way to do it the right way, right? Where did Ed go? Where did he go? What happened to Ed?
Ed froze. I can see him, but he's frozen.
It's been happening. All right, so it's just me and you. What are some of
Oddly
the
enough,
questions?
his what do you call it? Wi-Fi is still better than Canton's courtroom. Even though it keeps freezing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay,
so I lost you at I was a stickler for, and what were you saying?
Stickler for not, I was going to say perfection, but more so you're a stickler for doing it the right way, because as you say, when you mess it up, there's no fixing it. There's no way to fix a botched evidence collection, a botched investigation where you're having no chain of custody. You're giving defense attorneys what they're looking for, a little bit of an out to get their client off.
That's right. Right. Remember another Edism, right? It takes less time to explain why you did something right than why you did something wrong.
Correct. There it is. Edism 101. All right. Oblivious. Questions as it pertains to Stephan Sterns or any of the evidence or any of these 22 pages on the PDF. Anything that comes to mind or anything about this case?
I actually have a question. I don't know if this is something that can be presumed or not, but from that last thing you showed us, it said a young female, I believe on the top, but I noticed in a lot of the other court documents when it names likely the victim Maddie, we can assume it's blacked out. So would there be a reason why they put young female on there? Could it possibly be anybody else, or is that just somebody writing it down because they didn't know? Like, do they go, obviously they're going into a storage shed looking for specific things, right? Like it'll say on the search warrant, any photos of this, that, and the other. I've seen somewhere it says the potential victim's name even. So is there a reason why it would say young female instead of her name, or is that like an evidence log type of, or I guess a recovery log type of thing?
Maybe the individual who wrote that down didn't know Maddie, didn't know. Okay, and if they're already looking at him as a child predator, there may be other victims.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I notice a lot of people, I just wanted to kind of nip that in the bud. They'll see young female and they'll go, this is proof there were others, and then off with the conspiracies. So I just want to be clear, there is a chance that they're talking about Maddie here. They just haven't named her likely.
Right. This crime scene investigator didn't know who she was, in the person in the photo being Maddie.
Thank you, Ed. I just came back on to the stream to say exactly what Ed was going to say.
Yeah.
Just because this is a handwritten, probably on scene, or when I get back to the office, it's not typed up. This is a handwritten document. And like Ed said, maybe they just couldn't recognize the young female. Maybe it was that she was that young that they couldn't say definitively this is Maddie. Or for the conspiracy theorists, I'm going to throw a little bone out to them. It could be another girl, because Ed and I, and you also talked about this with me privately. I wouldn't put it past this guy. He's not exclusive to Madeline Soto. He didn't just start this 7 years ago. There's no way in hell that this guy just started this 7 years ago. He was doing this probably his whole adult life. God, or maybe even from his early teens. This guy, they need to look back at every exchange that he's had with everybody and anybody. So that's why, like, they asked that when the reporters asked him, is Jennifer Soto, is she involved? And they say, at this time, we don't have evidence to say, and this is going back 4 months ago, that she's involved. We don't know what's developed in between that time. And when people ask me, why isn't she locked up? Why isn't Jennifer Soto locked up? I say to them, maybe they're waiting to build the case to get her just to get her locked up, but not locked up for some bullshit charge that she's going to be able to walk out on. They want to maybe get what they really want to get is to show that she's got some involvement in this, or that she's sanctioning. She's already said it. She said it many different ways. I've got a few things queued up because we had a storm here and my internet got knocked off before we went live. I can't play the audio on the externals, but I had a thing saved here. I wanted to play that, early on, Jennifer was making those statements that like,
well, she made official police statements that that her boyfriend was sleeping with her daughter, and that she said it was perfectly fine. Well, I mean, just those statements alone could be enough to charge her for endangering the welfare of a minor. But okay, I mean, but they're doing their job, folks. I'm sure they're doing their job, a very thorough job, and they may have another secret grand jury going on here for her.
Right. Yeah.
Also, did you guys notice? I don't even know. I think so. I know that Ron's seen it, but with all of Stephan's accounts, I think when I put them chronological, I'm gonna send you a chart just to look over. It's really interesting. He does what's the word? He escalates. I'm not saying he's a serial killer by any means, but his behavior escalates over time with the content in the accounts. Like he didn't just go full blown 7 awards on Pornhub, full blown Cowboys for Angels.com. He didn't just start doing all of that all at once. Like he started with smaller fetish sites, and then he moved up to different kinds of kink sites, and then he got into sites that, as he expanded his portfolio, if you will, with his sexual and fetish websites and accounts, he also did that with accounts that one could say are for hacking, and not just typical like GitHub and API stuff, but like he was messing around with sites where he was clearly trying to learn how to go on the dark web. I think I don't know that he actually made it that far because he used Google Drive, which is like, are you kidding me right now? Right. That is so unbelievably wild, amateur shit. Yeah. But also the Tor browsers are being monitored by the government, and if he knew anything, he wouldn't have messed with that. But there are traces online where he discusses wanting to get into Tor, and it makes me think that he was either amping up to perhaps one day trade things, but you can definitely see an escalation in the amount.
He was progressing. He was progressing as he was going along. Ed, we see it all the time with these guys. They start out, like you said, trying these, and we saw this with Heuermann, but it was the exact opposite. He went from dismembering to getting tired of doing that to
he Benjamin Buttoned. It's wild.
Yeah. So
yes.
They don't do that really that often. I mean, even Rifkin waited to get the bucket of blood,
Right. Well, after a few go rounds of busting his hump to
I hate when that happens. Ed's in Africa.
These drapes are cursed.
Yeah, but no, it's the shitty internet in Africa. I guess in the hotel room where he is, he's not getting it. He's not getting full. Like what we have.
I'm sorry. I'm feeling so frustrated here, and I see the drape enthusiast. Okay.
I'm a drape enthusiast. Those drapes are cursed. I'm telling you.
You're back, brother.
Yeah. So in the case of Rex, he started out with the dismemberments, in my opinion, and he realized how much work was involved and how much time was involved and how much cleanup was involved. And then he was spreading these body parts in all different locations, and he never got caught. So, after time, he said, that I'm smarter than everybody else. They're never going to catch me. I don't have to do all this work anymore. I'll just wrap them up in my my duck hunting burlap and deposit them in Gilgo Beach.
Yeah. It's crazy. I had to just get up because the bird decided to fly down and he was pecking at my feet. So I had to just get down and put Popeye back up on his.
You guys are a mess. You got bird attacks on Ron, and Ed's drapes are haunted and killing the Wi-Fi. This is crazy. Someone doesn't want us talking about this, you guys.
Let me go to the super chats before we have to end. I know Ed's got to run, but I wanted to just get them. Pamela, thank you for becoming a new member. Emily Parkinson, she says, Ed, another hotel, stay safe.
Yes.
Lori gifted another 5 memberships. So kind and so generous. Thank you. Schmitty is always here and hanging out with us. She's a member for 33 months. The trifecta of a team tonight. Love it as always. Thank you, Schmitty. Consistent Insomniac, a 49 says, glad you're here, Dad. Thank you. She's referring to Oblivious. They call her dad
on Father's Day. I told them I'd be their dad because some of them had shitty dads, and now they all just call me dad. And I take them on trips to the lake, and I put them in timeout. It's fun.
Thank you, Dad. She says, "Glad you're here, Dad. Thank you for everything you do, Dutyron and Ed, and to you too, Kat. Love this community. Best on the internet. Love you all." Well, we love you.
You're
right
grounded.
back.
Go to your room.
Puzzle Pieces sent us a super sticker. Thank you for your support. Hashtag Ed, hashtag Dutyron, hashtag OB. We'll make it short.
Just OB. It's too long.
I want to go, Ed, if you don't mind, just 3 to 5 minutes of questions from the audience, because it's only fair. We gave Oblivious Benson a chance to pepper us with questions, but I think she was starstruck. She saw Ed Wallace here, and she was like,
I actually have 30, but I'm going to narrow it down to this one.
30?
Peaches. Yeah, I wrote 31, but I already asked one. So Peaches, her tattoo ink. I used to tattoo, and I know that when you go, you're basically staying within the top 7 layers of the dermis. But you were showing the photograph where you were showing us how you can brighten tattoos to see them again. Wish we would have learned more about that when I was in school, but that fascinated me because I hadn't seen one done so well before. And I was curious about the ink, because the ink that was used in the 90s to the 2000s is very specific. There weren't as many companies. Amazon wasn't shipping ink back then. And with the timing of Peaches and the specific ink that was legally allowed to be used on the market, I know that there were parts of Staten Island where or New York where tattoos weren't even legal at a certain point in time. But in Connecticut, where this tattoo artist claims he tattooed Peaches, I looked into it, and they had a very specific ink type that they even touted when they gave interviews in the newspaper. And I'm curious if there's a way to, or if it would even be beneficial at all for them to confirm the ink still on her body in her tattoo, considering it did look fairly fresh. In my opinion, it looked like a year or two old. Is there a way for them to forensically pull that skin or even a portion of it, or find a way to match the ink to at least see if this guy's telling the truth or if he's a jagaloon? Like, what can we do?
Yeah, you can do it. You can attempt to do an ink analysis, but you'd have to excise a portion of the tattoo and then put it on a scanning electron microscope with an X-ray diffractor and conduct an elemental analysis of the ink in that fashion. You may be able to do it in other laboratory testing involving maybe FTIR or things of that nature. It would make for great forensics if you could be able to do that, and I don't see why it shouldn't be tried. And then,
I think
as
that
you
we
said,
could get some of that ink. Like they still have it sealed from back then that they sell vintage on eBay. I'm sitting here like, let's get some and run it, right?
Right, we could do that, definitely.
Patronus Glow, thank you for being here. I have to fix it and get you back on the grid. I can't see you. Okay. I don't know what's going on. All right, Ed, I know you got to run.
Wait.
Whoa. Oh. All right, here we
go.
Hold
on. First of all, Oblivious, I like the way you think. I like the way you're tracking. I can see you're someone after my own heart. Christian, I gotta tell you, I didn't know you did that curtain stuff on the merch. I nearly pissed myself laughing so hard yesterday when I came upon the curtains from Morocco on T-shirts and underwear and socks that you were selling on the merch store. I was laughing. I wonder if
anybody
hard.
bought that. Did anybody buy any of that merch? If you are in the chat and you bought any of the merch from Morocco, the underwear, the socks, whatever she made, let us know. And if you're not here in the live chat, let us know in the comment section if you did buy that merch, because Ed, I didn't know it was there. I was just afraid to tell you about it.
I tracked down the actual drapes, and I found them in a store and they are $1,200. And I was like, I can't afford these Moroccan drapes, but I did send them in an email to 2 women who can afford them. So don't worry, Ed. We're getting the actual drapes. It's happening.
And I was, like I said, I've got to stop laughing because Kegels don't work and I'll piss myself right here.
African Kegels.
Oh my God. Well, listen, this has been an interesting hour. We hit the hour mark. Stephan Sterns, his mother calls him a monster. Did they know all along? And that was the question that I posed to you, the live chat. Do you feel that Stephan Sterns' parents, both his mother, Deborah, and his father, Christopher, did they know what this monstrous son of theirs was up to? Did they all along know that he was a sexual deviant and a pervert and preyed on young girls, young children? Let me know. Let Ed and I know, and let Oblivious Benson know on her channel, because I'm going to link it in the description. But we want to know what you think, and you could say it here in the live chat. Yes, no, maybe, I don't know. But we want to know what you guys think, because this 22-page PDF has you scratching your head when you read it and you say, what the hold on, what the I have to stop with the cursing. Everyone's yelling at me about the cursing.
Do it. Say it.
Yeah. What the fuck? I mean, is there, do they have knowledge? Were they hiding this? And if they were, they should be locked up. There's no question in my mind. Ed, you said it so well. And I don't know if Ed's frozen or if he's just like sleeping right now. What's happening with him? He's frozen.
He's just so happy you said a bad word. That's his Ron said a bad word.
For fuck's sake. Yeah. So I mean, I'll go around the robin here. What do you think, Oblivious, in a as it poses to that question?
Listen, I have lived with my dog 1 year, and I know that his farts smell like a biological and chemical weapon that Ed could harness and sell to China. I know that because I've lived with him for 1 fucking year. These people lived with this dude his whole fucking life. You can't tell me they didn't know he was a pervert.
Mm-hmm.
You live next to a turd, you smell the turd. There's no way. I'm sorry. He's out there shanking dudes in the street for being mentally unwell. Give me a fucking break. He's given his I mean, these aren't just like claims from one person. These are things many people saw. It's in court records. It's been admitted. He's out here on the internet looking at weird gigolo sites, like he's Deuce fucking Bigelow. Like, this guy's weird. He has a torso in his house.
Yeah.
It's just for funsies. Like, no, they knew. She declaws poodles for fun. This isn't a normal family. And they can sue me. I don't care. I want that discovery. Sue me.
Ed, your thoughts?
I just don't think they're good people.
Mr. Wallace, your thoughts. And will you curse?
No. But
no.
They in my opinion, based upon what I saw in those interviews, they knew. They knew their, they, like, as Oblivious said, look, your kid, this is your kid, and you know what's going on in your house, right? You know that there's a problem with this kid, okay? And this is not something that just manifested in his late 30s or something. This is something that they've been dealing with for a long time with this kid.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And it looks like most of the chat is agreeing as well. We all are mad as hell, and we don't want to stop until justice is served for Madeline Soto, because she is the true victim here. And, when I look at Jennifer's side of the family, that whole squad that she referred to at her mother's tax return business, or whatever the hell she does there in that business. We saw it on the body cam footage. There was a ton of people there. How could not one of those people know what was going on? How could an entire family on both sides not have knowledge? And we know that home over there at the Venetian Bay, I know I'm not saying it right, but that place where they lived, that was sublet to many different people. And how many different people got an opportunity, and I hate to say this, to sleep with Madeline Soto? Because the mother was letting her boyfriend do it, is what happened when he wasn't there. I'm sure there was other men in that house. And that's some of the things that I think about. And I'm sure most of you guys have thought about that too. When you see rooms having numbers on them, silver numbers, room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4, for all in the name of making money, I have to think that, God, what could have happened to this poor girl? What could have happened? At a critical moment, Ed had something really good to say, and look at him.
It was gonna be brilliant, and then the drapes. I'm telling you, dude. The old ones call him.
Let me put him full screen, frozen.
There he goes.
Do you know where I've seen those numbers like that before? In houses of prostitution where I've had crime scenes. Okay. And so she basically turned this house into what we call an SRO, a single room occupancy. And you know who lives in those types of locations? Junkies, transient people, people of ill repute. Okay. So, you know, what actually was going on in this freaking house?
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary. The thoughts and the possibilities are endless. And it is horrific to even think of. I mean, I get anxiety thinking about it. But yeah, New Jersey Robin says, Dutyron, I don't even want to imagine. And unfortunately, because of the trade that Ed and I were in for 20 plus years, we've seen it all. Nothing surprises us because we've seen it all. And I'm not saying that just to be cocky, but we have seen it all. And it's just insane. It's just insane. Rosemary says, always accurate information from their years of experience and knowledge. Thank you, Rosemary. And thank you for the super chat. Here's Vicky. You got her mad. You got her mad, Dad. Come on, get off the poodles. It has nothing to do with this case, for crying out loud. What the hell's wrong? Thank you for the super chat. We have to cover every
It's how I feel, man. I don't like poodle people. I'm against poodle people. I'm sorry for all you poodle people fans.
And you know what? Oblivious, to your defense, this is a part of the case. This is a part of the case. He brought up that the dogs annoyed him. And now all of a sudden he loves those dogs. And now we hear that the mom is having their little side claws ripped out. What does Joey?
You know what that can also do? That can stop the conspiracies, because all these people out here thinking that she's speaking in code to him. No, listen to poodle people. That's not code. This is how this woman talks. She talks about dew claws all day.
Ugh.
All right. So let me give you a forensic pro tip. Joey Brooklyn brought it up. Never bring a blue light or forensic light source to your hotel room. And if you do, don't turn it on, because you'll never stay in the hotel again.
You'll never want to stay in a hotel again, according to Ed Wallace, because I know he has done that. And he probably did it once and said, I can't do this. I can't handle basic training.
I did it once. And I asked for a new room immediately.
Mm-hmm. Tommy Bernhardt, who's a good friend of all of us. He hangs out here. He hangs out with OB. He hangs out with Melanie. He's all over the place. I love the guy. He had his own podcast at one time. I wish he would go back to it. He says cursing on YouTube does not lose monetization. Absolutely false. It's true. It's not false. It's not true. You don't lose monetization. If you open up the show with a bunch of F-bombs, yes. But if you do it during the middle of the show, and they're very few and far between, it's not too bad. I would say 90% of this show, 95% of our shows do not contain curse words. But when we do get, at least myself, when I get hopped up, I drop those F-bombs. I do, and we're adults. And if you feel like as an adult you don't want to hear it, then you got the opportunity to go la 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 for that period.
You got to blame the Texas education system for me, guys. It's not. It's listen. Send Texas money. We need it. We didn't learn nothing but no dang old curse words, y'all.
Right.
It's all we knows.
All right.
It's all we know.
To wrap it up, this case started the Monday morning, February 26th, and we had Madeline Soto's remains that Friday. So it was Monday to Friday. Unfortunately, she was out in 80+ degree temperatures in Florida in an open marshy field. It was a farmer's. It looked like a farmer's field. The opening of the field. There was the gate there, and there was that hedge for privacy. Put her over there. Unfortunately, that, as Ed will tell you, takes its toll on human remains. But we will hear all of the details at the trial, and everybody is saying to themselves, I just want to know. Well, guess what? In a few short months, we're going to have this trial kick off. And I believe that when this trial starts, it will be televised, and we'll be hearing and seeing some of the things you won't see on TV, but you'll hear it. And we'll get all the information that we so desire. But I didn't see not one hashtag Ed or one hashtag Dutyron or one hashtag OB. Everybody's just enjoying our banter back and forth. So I appreciate everybody being here. What, Ed?
Not everybody.
Well, of course, we can't please everybody. You're not going to ever please everybody. We know that from doing this for a long time.
Oh, my kids are going crazy. They love it.
Will 411 now sends $20 super chat. Thank you, Will. He's got a great show. He does a lot of great cases, and he does all the deep dives into the courts and all of the particulars on cases. So thank you, Will, for the $20 super chat, and thank you for supporting. I'm a member over there at his channel 411 now. Ed, final thoughts from you, my brother.
Well, I'm sure there's more to follow. That the paperwork that I read today, thank you, by the way, Oblivious, was quite interesting and eye-opening. And I see problems for the parents in the near future. I also definitely see problems for Jennifer. I just wish things were moving a little faster, to be quite honest with you, but it will happen in due time.
Yeah. Patience. We got to be patient. And sometimes, like when we looked at the our boys from California City and Bakersfield, Sincere and Classic, that's our two boys that we did. That was the most coverage that we've ever done on any case. It took them over a year to actually make an arrest. It was well over a year. And to have that trial kick off, we covered it, from beginning to end, and justice was served. We never found their remains, but it took a very long time to have an arrest. Amazing Aunt, retired sergeant from the NYPD, a fellow squad member in the Fugitive Enforcement Division with me. She says, happy summer, all. Good to see Dutyron and Ed and all on the live. Thank you for always sharing updates on big news stories, especially Madeline Soto. Thank you.
I want my empanadas.
Yeah, and they better not be sweaty. All right. Yeah, I worked with her for a good long time, and we actually got together recently. Me, my retired sergeant, and her. The three of us got together and had a dinner, and it was awesome. Of course, she came with gifts. I got an NYPD baseball and an NYPD pin. She never comes empty-handed. So thank you, amazing NYC, for all of your love and support. OB, I'm going to go to you for final thoughts. I know you have some.
Oh man, I'll keep it brief. I'm just going to say this. Teach your kids about the internet. Know their passwords. Get a program that is a family program where you can see all of the things going on in your house, transmissions, chat, every app they have. Check it randomly. Do random checks like the military. Literally blow a whistle if you have to. Get hardcore with it. If you are suspecting that your kid might be on an app that you are concerned about, and I'm saying this because app culture is big, do the same with your husband. Stalk your family. Find out if you have an adult male in your house who is not in the entertainment industry or works for Kick and they have a Kick, ask them why. Find out what these apps are. There are a lot of adult men. If you're dating and you see a Kick profile, avoid him. There are specific apps catered to children. I'm not saying that everybody who has one does that, but know your surroundings, study what people are doing on the internet, pay attention to who you're dating, and please, 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 for the love of God, don't leave your child alone to sleep with somebody that is just your boyfriend or even a stepdad. Just don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And really ask your family what they're doing on the internet. Pay attention. Pay attention. Learn how to check what's going in and out of your house. Yeah. Even like if someone's downloading something bad, you should know.
their lives can depend on it, because this could be a matter of life and death if you do not. And you know, some people say, oh, they want their privacy. No. You need to be, in this day and age, you have to be vigilant. You have to be on top of what they're doing. So thank you for bringing that up. I mean, we could do a whole hour, 2-hour live stream on it, right, Ed?
Yep, this really stinks, this internet. But anyhow, like I said, something popped into my head, and I'm going to give away my age, because I remember back in the day, you know, OB, the method. You guys remember that?
No. Wow, you really are showing your age, Ed.
My original screen name was Acid Burns because of the movie Hackers. That was back when we had the AOL CDs.
Yeah, OB the method. That's your new nickname now.
I'm the method. I'm the method.
Kick is a messaging app. A lot of people are asking what Kick is, but listen, we could go into this. This can lead us down into. We'll do a live stream about this, even if we pre-recorded
this already. It's on our old one.
Okay, so yeah, we did discuss it. Yeah. I'll link it in the description where you can go and watch. We did a mini PSA as it pertains to all of these crazy things that can be utilized online. And like you said, if they have a Kick app, that is a humongous red flag. Yeah, run for the hills.
You know, to get back to the ink. Real quick, something just popped into my head.
Ooh,
so we use pig skin to do a lot of gunshot residue tests for distances of muzzle the target and so forth. I'm going to get my hands on some forensic pig skin, and I'm going to bring it to a tattoo artist, and I'm going to have him ink it with several types of ink, and then I'm going to contact my friends in the lab. And I'll do a controlled experiment on whether they can ID the contents of the ink, the mineral content of the ink, the elemental content.
And they all come from flowers, and flowers have DNA.
Right.
Can I film that live, Ed?
Yeah, we could do that, definitely. You know, and then we'll have it peer reviewed and published. Okay, we'll publish the experiment to show that whether or not this can actually be done.
Awesome.
That would be amazing. I've always wondered. Every professor I've asked, they're like, I don't think so. And I'm like, I'm just going to wait till I ask Ed. He'll know.
Yeah,
He'll know if
let's try it.
Yeah, we're going to definitely try that.
Amazing.
Black Rose, thank you for highlighting Will 411's channel, and thank you for being a moderator. Thank you to all the mods, the replay viewers, the super chatters, the folks who just watch our videos and leave us comments down below. We love engaging in the comments, and you got to have to give Ed a pass. He gets a pass a little bit because he's in another country. He's in Africa, so Ed will always engage in the chat, but next week he's going to start doing his training and all his teaching that he's doing there. This week was kind of like a freebie week of him settling in, but it's going to be tough for him to get to these questions. But I know him; he still will.
Yes.
Melly, thank you for putting Oblivious Benson's channel in the chat. I'm going to link it in the description. Don't get on me. I'm not going to be able to do it right away, but I'm going to do it in about an hour. I promise. Oblivious, thank you for taking out the time. You always make yourself available, and that's awesome. And we love your Snoopy Doopy Doopas and all the things that you do. You are definitely, like I said, Ed probably listened to this on replay from when you and I got together without Ed because he's out of the country. But if I was in, like, say, a computer crime squad, I would be honored to have somebody like you at my side because you have so much information. You have such a wealth of information, and you know about this stuff. You do your due diligence, you do your homework, you look into these things, and that's what you need when you're doing investigations like this. So you missed your calling. You missed your calling. I hope you can go and maybe go back in there and get into the law enforcement somehow.
I mean, I'm just avoiding all the bureaucracy and red tape, but it's an honor to get to talk to you guys at all. Like, I absolutely love this. I love shooting the chisme with you. And to everyone in the chat, I don't hate poodles. I don't like people who treat them badly. You feel me? Love poodles. Big fan of poodles. Absolutely adore them.
Look at this one. Adam says, OB is my daddy.
And my parents are so concerned about that. They're like, why does everyone call you dad now? And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's a thing. I accidentally started a cult. No big deal. No big deal.
Who's your daddy?
Well,
I am.
Well,
I'm your dad now.
We certainly appreciate you here. It's a great supplement to the law enforcement perspective because you can, again, reach out and do things that we probably wouldn't do at this point. But I love that you're always digging in and you're digging deep on these cases. And when I need some answers or if I need someone to do something, I know I can ask you. If you're free, you'll do it. If you aren't, you'll tell me to go F off.
Sometimes I pull over in traffic and I'm like, I got to get these files for Ron. I get really excited trying to find them.
Thank you. We appreciate
you guys.
it. All right, Ed, man, stay safe over there. And I know it's 1 a.m. past 1 a.m. your time. I love you. There goes Oblivious. She just said,
wow.
No, I'm out.
She said, poof, gone. She's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Now you're really showing your age. Ed, I know you always have something to say at the end of these things.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Obi for coming on the show with us. That was very, very good. I enjoyed that tremendously. Folks, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us and spreading the word about our show and getting us new members to subscribe. We appreciate you. We appreciate your loyalty, but always stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Amen, brother. Well said. And as I always like to say, it's about the victims and their families. And in this case, it's about the victim, Madeline Soto. We send strength, prayers, and positive vibes to the investigators, to the district attorney who's going to be tasked with charging and bringing the case forward against Stephan Sterns. And, justice will come if Jennifer Soto, and there's evidence there that will prove that she committed a crime, she will be charged. I don't know when that will be, but I'm hoping it's sooner than later. So on behalf of Crime Time with Dutyron and Ed Wallace, we send you all strength, prayers, and positive vibes. And thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the cups of coffee you guys buy us, the super chats, the subscriptions, the PayPals, the super chats and super thanks. Some of you guys go and send super thanks at the end of this in the comments, and that is unbelievable. So we thank you. We thank you for being here and growing with this community. This is a learning community, and we appreciate all of your input because without you, we got nothing. Yeah, Ed and I could sit here and talk to ourselves all night long. We got a great group of you guys, a great community, and thank you for being here. Good night from New York and from Africa.
Burkina Faso.
Ed, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.